there's that. So everybody missed the scripture. Sorry, it's Psalms 51:10. So today we have Mr. Albert. Mr. Albert. So we've heard a lot of things about you, Mr. Albert, and we like what we've heard. And so we decided, the collective, decided that we would like to have you here to just speak to the ladies. Now, what I will tell you is that some of them kind of filter in late, and if they don't show up, then they just don't show up, and we'll just send it to them in a recording. We did ask them some questions that they would like to have, and because we kind of just roll with things, we don't like have. Sometimes we do have a set topic, and then there are times where we just roll with it. So today, Mr. Albert, we would just like you to roll with it, and whatever spirit gives you to tell us, we will accept it. We will probably have questions because I know I question everything, but we will have questions. And just to kind of give us what a male perspective in this world looks like, especially when it comes down to relationships. So the floor is yours. And you can probably even go off the scripture. I don't know. There it is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think first and foremost, I would like to commend you women on doing this, but you guys are doing. Being raised by a single mother, when Tara was telling me about what y'all had going on, I was saying to myself like that, like, technology is something because perhaps maybe, and I don't know, had my mother had an avenue such as this, to tap into, she might have fared off better. She might have not had to maybe struggle, but learn how to go through the struggle and walk out the other end of it. So I'm talking about support, unconditional support. So I said to say, my mom had best friends, but their support was conditional on what she could do for them financially. So I think this is great. I really do. And when she asked me, I was thrilled. I really was. I was thrilled. I value, well, I value a woman to no degree. Like, I can't even compare it to anything, and I haven't always been like that. So when when you guys tell me you heard so much about me, and I'm gonna be transparent, because that's my truth. But when I hear things like that about myself, it makes me reflect on the person that I was, and I can look back and say, I truly did not like that person.
Yeah.
So then it became a thing of, okay, well, what are you willing to do about it then?
Absolutely. I think all of us as women, we reflected on the person that we used to be. Hold on, I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. So I think it's reflecting on the person that we used to be, and the things that we did, just in the course of our life, like how we, went through relationships, friendships, just the things that we've done. Like I could tell you stories and you'd be like, you? And I'll be like, yes, it was me. So just to come from the other side of the mountain of where I was, I think that's what people really don't give you that chance. And so we do know some things about you. And so I think it's that part of understanding that I am not, and I think TD Jakes said it the best, that said, yes, I did that, but that's not who I am. So it's like, yes, I did that, but that's not who I am. So the person that we are, I think if we had to learn, through the trials and errors, but it teaches us to be in this kind of setting today where we can give the knowledge and the wisdom. So
I think everything that we do is, it's a learn as you go. I think life's a learn as you go program, right? Sometimes we think we're making the best choice, and really later on we realize maybe that wasn't the best choice.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was pretty wild when I was young. I was principal's daughter. I thought the biggest thing was to, you know, live up to the principal's daughter expectation, right? I mean, geez. And, I'm kind of glad I got all that out of my system in my teens and my 20s. And there was a lot I went through. But when I look back at it today, I think all that, everything brought me to this here. Everything that occurred in my life brings me to where I'm at today. Brought me to where I met Tarina first. And Tarina introduced us to this group of beautiful women. And, because I was striving for wanting something more, I think we want to learn more when we're older like this than we do when we're younger,
yeah.
We want to be that free spirit when we're younger and kind of just live by the seat of our pants and see what happens. But
Text, don't read it. It's for the other ladies. Remember they was hounding us. I would like to know what they want. And then no, so where are you?
show up,
Right.
So I think, I don't know if it was supposed to be that way where we want to learn later in life, or maybe that's so on the second half of our life. I don't know. I think sometimes I feel like it's kind of ass backwards.
I don't
But
definitely.
I think it's the lessons that we've gone through, because there's a quote that I just read that said that we are in the world of, and it's an African quote that said we are not in the world. Life is like a lesson. Every day we learn something. And so in learning something, we are to give back. If we think about what Jesus did, Jesus was just teaching them the way to go. Okay. Remember, the word is just teaching us what we need to do. So when Jesus came and he stepped on the scene, um, hold on. Look, they're coming. They're coming now. Now that I said what I said. So Jesus was just the way of us learning the lessons that we needed to learn so that we can pass those lessons on to someone else, right? So passing those lessons on every day, we're ever learning every day. We're learning to be obedient to what the voice. Remember when we think about the children of Israel, when Jesus was telling them, take a little, but don't take too much, or when Moses had to go up to the mountain, or when Aaron had to watch the people. It's always a lesson. It's a lesson in the attributes of who we are and how can I lead another person. So when we think about lessons, it's when he said, when Peter said, when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I got older, I put away those child.
Yeah.
Don't know how to put away the childish things because, like Albert said, they don't have that person there to guide them to say, that's a little petty or that's a little childish. You know what I'm saying? So Albert, back to you. What are like, so just go ahead. Just do your thing. Whatever you got to go on. And this is Miss Tangela. I don't know if you can see her, Miss Tangela.
How you doing?
Hello, hello. I might be a little in and out because I'm at work.
I'm gonna mute you, okay? Just
Okay.
because of that. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Al.
Did you ask me a question?
I told you to go ahead and go on with your life. Go. Tell us something.
You talk about support,
Oh yeah, support.
unconditional support. I'm writing notes, you know that.
Okay. All right. Support. All right. So being transparent, I haven't always um put a lot of trust into women because of prior relationships. You know, um, I'm a person where if I'm supporting you, that means I'm loyal to you. So a lot of what I do is based off of loyalty. I don't go by how, my heart. Yeah, my heart plays somewhat of it, but it's the loyalty thing. You got to show me something because I know what I'm bringing to the table. So I'm gonna speak about something, but when Tara and I have reconnected and transitioning, and I'm trying to get this job, and this is like maybe like days into us just starting back talking, and she immediately took control of the situation because I'm not phone savvy, I'm not computer savvy, and she took the lead on it. You know what I'm saying? And she did what she did, and it played an intricate part in me landing the job. But leading up to that, I was going through it every day. I was stressed out, like literally stressed out. And she just kept like, look, like I got you, I got you, I got you. Like, don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of this. We're gonna take care of this. Take care of this. And she did all of that. You know, after having not seen each other, in 20 years. You know, that was a classic case of support. So I know that there wasn't any, no ulterior motives involved. I knew that I knew it was clean. It was pure. So that allowed me to open myself up to it, which was going to happen anyway. Like, that was going to happen. Just so y'all know, it was destined that Tara and I got back together.
Oh, I know that. I know. I know that. I don't think she knew that. She's at the top of the string right here. I don't think she knew that, but I knew that. Go ahead.
Now, on the flip side of that, I'm gonna let you ladies know. I don't care how tough a guy acts. I don't care what type of show he put on with the cameras and all of that. All right, we get all of that masculine stuff. We get all of that. But what about the other side though?
Yes.
There's an emotional side too that you
Mhm.
feel like you have to cover up, to pass yourself off to be this guy. No. For those 30 something years, Taryn, after we broke up, I don't blame her. I blame my actions. You know, the path that I went down was destructive. And I'm amazed in those 30 something years that I'm alive and able to, you know, share my experiences with people. Because I went through some things, and again, well, she wasn't really aware of all that was going on. But as people started to speak when we were together, she's like, I don't know that guy. I never met him. And I'm glad she did it. Because there's no way that I would be able to have this opportunity to be with her if I didn't do the core work and changing me as a man and the things that I hated and getting in touch with the emotional side and understanding that at times those things will arise. However, I can't take it on the way that I took it on in the past because if I do, it'll destroy me.
So I have a question for you. Talk about the male side of the emotion because naturally we women we go through we know how I don't want to say we know how but because we're nurturers we kind of navigate through the emotional part a little bit differently than men. So when you get down to that emotional side, Albert, like how do you go through that? Like what was the moment that you said, I cannot keep being this tough guy. I cannot keep walking in this masculine every day. And to honor the and I don't well the honor the feminine part of you to say, listen, I got feelings too. I'm emotional too. I'm feeling this. What was the day that you just literally just dropped and was like, I surrendered to that part of me? And how did it make you
Um, Go ahead.
and
And how
how
did it work?
and how did it make you feel?
I think prior to the moment, I would have flashes. of getting of tuning into that side. But then the moment was when my mother passed away,
Ooh.
and to this day, it's like if the day is not a perfect day, sun out, shiny, beautiful weather. If it's anything other than that, if it's dreary, if it's raining, it brings me back to the moment when my mother passed. And it was unexpected. So it was literally a shock. And I can remember going through the motions. And I had never felt nothing like that in my life. Never even knew that it was humanly possible for a person to cry the way that I cried. And I've really never been a crying person. But in that moment, it was like I was numb, and then I had conversations with people, and I eventually had to go get professional help. I had to go get counseling. I was always against counseling and all of that. I was, but there was a moment, I guess, in the transformation where I don't know, it was like something just clicked and was like, you got to go through this mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. You got to feel this. And I remember the counselor telling me like, it's okay to go through it and feel it. He said, but that's not your problem. He said, you can handle what you have to go through. He said, but you're caught up in the mental part and thinking, okay, I know she's gone, but she's gone forever. He said, you have to stop thinking like that. He said, remember the spiritual side. So he started breaking that down to me. I'm like, all right. And as I started to go through it, and my only outlet was I cried. Like I cried, like I cried. I went on about a 9 month roller coaster, and I remember talking to Tara one time on the phone, and I mean, I guess I masked it. I guess I did because it was during that time when I was actually still going through it, But I used to get caught. I got caught up in this thing of, man's not supposed to show emotion,
Mm.
especially when it comes to who he's dealing with at that time. And at that moment, it's her. I don't want to look weak, you know. But at the same time, also I was also destroying myself, So I'm always having a fight, having a fight, having a fight. It's not this, it's not that. It's always just something. I got to fight, you know. And I used to fight that, the fact that I always had a fight for whatever it was, you know. And I think through my mother's death, that was something that I learned. You know, you're gonna have to fight, but how are you going to fight?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You know. So today, right now, how I live my life, I live with transparency. I'm gonna take that weapon away from you immediately. Because that's the only thing that you could judge me on is the things that I've done. But I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna put it out there, and then when you see what you see, then you tell me what you think. Because I'm confident in who I am. I've become confident since dealing with my mother's passing, and I've just learned how to tap into the energy of my mother and her being in the afterlife. So today I'm good, But I want to let y'all know something though, as far as other men, and I used to be one of them guys. A lot of guys won't tap into that other side, that emotional side. From my experiences and what I've seen others do, how they cope with it, is because they're worried about the perception of the social circles that they are a part of. You got to remember, everything was built to demasculate the black man. Everything. We're going to strip you to your nothing, to your 1/5 of a human being, as we declared you.
So Albert, did you find that when you and Tara reconnected that in knowing that she was there for no other reason, but just it was good to see you again at first, right? To connect with you and that there were no motives behind that. So you had that comfort and that loyalty when she helped you out, right? And helped you get that job. What did that make you realize that she was someone that you could trust and open up to?
The answer is yes. Um, but I've always looked at Tara like that. Like in my eyes, and this is just for me. Can't speak for no other guy previously, but just for me, when I look at Tara, I see a picture of perfectness.
I do
Like
too.
Tara is my perfect woman. So definitely yes. Like I said, I can open up to her. I talk to her about everything. You know, we have an honesty pact, which I'm cool with. But I mean, definitely,
But
So
if
my
when
you
first
didn't
moment.
feel that way, right? I mean, if you if you weren't sure, there was something that led you to feel that comfort, right? Because it's just Tara who she is as a person. I feel what you feel, right? I know I can come to Tara for anything because and she's very non-judgmental. She doesn't need anything from me. But she picks up the phone if I whenever I call, most of the time. Just saying. Anyways, but I mean, I guess the reason why I'm asking because I have someone in my life too that I watched go through an amazing amount of change over the last 2.5 years. And it was, I think, that he finally recognized that I don't need anything from him. I am an independent, self made woman, and I don't need someone to actually take care of me. But I do want that companion, that person in my life that is my ride or die that I can count on. And it's been a long two it's been a long 2.5 years coming from someone who didn't talk about emotion, right? But um and I think they found that he can come to me and there's nothing he can say to me that's gonna surprise me, A, B, that I'm gonna judge him on, and C, if he needs something, he knows I'm the first person he can pick up the phone and call that'll be there. And I think that when you see that in someone else, and honestly, you can see that in the first like few minutes that you meet somebody. You can see
Hmm.
you can see if they're full of shit or if they're not, right? And so I think that helps a person whether you open up to them or not, right? So I don't know where I'm going with this, but the support thing, the back and forth, um, that not, I mean, we women have walls too. Holy crap. They're built like sometimes way high, you know, and sometimes you take a level down and then oops, then you put it back up. Um, but what I'm seeing is that and I think you're correct. Some men will never trust anybody. And some women will be the same way because maybe it is the people that they surround themselves with. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe they don't, maybe they can't see that. Maybe they're so blinded that they can't see that, listen, I'm not here to hurt you. I don't need anything from you. I just want to be a part of you because I like who you are, you know? So I'm just trying to understand why some men finally figure it out, some women finally figure it out, and others never figure it out. So I'm just rambling. I ramble a lot, just telling you. I ramble. So I don't even know where I was going with it, but you said some things that really kind of hit home for me. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Listen, I don't think that it's a matter of um, that we finally figure it out, or I don't think it's one thing or the other. I think it's a multitude of things. You know, maybe something
Hmm.
happened, in this time frame, another in another time frame, so on and so forth. You know, and the one thing about the brain and the heart, there's two distinct differences. You can think a thought and it'll pass, but internally, if you those same thoughts that goes through your heart is like a sponge, and your heart absorbs that. So if your heart absorbs evil, then your heart will become hard. But if you absorb the opposite of that, which is good, then your heart will become soft. And when your heart becomes soft, this gives you the ability to be able to feel the natural emotions that we were created upon.
It makes a lot of sense because, my dad, he was my best friend. And like when he passed away, that was the worst day of my life when my dad passed
Mhm.
away. But I lead by how would my dad handle this situation? You know? And not that it was always right, but I tried to use that as a gauge for how I would live my life. And I just like you talked about your mom, and I just so thank God for him, right? Because
Mhm.
as your mom was to you, my mom wasn't that to me, you know? And I ended up taking care of my mom for a very long time. And through that whole process, I learned how to forgive. I mean, I could have really went down the road and become a very, very hard person and a very unlikable person. I have that personality that you can just like stay the hell away from her, right? But I chose not to because I I really my dad, he was a principal, he was very well respected, he was very fair, he was not biased. I mean, he looked at it and if you were wrong, you were wrong. But what here's the things that you also did right, you know? It wasn't
Mhm.
always a you did this and this wrong. It was here's the things you did right, here's where it went wrong, and this is what you need to look at. And those are the things that were instilled in me. So I think I was saved at a younger time in my life because that's something I always held on to. So I may not have been that way if I wouldn't have had somebody in my life at that age that actually stayed there, right? That really said to me, um, this is really the path you want to eventually get down. This is really you don't want to go this other way. That's not a good way to go. You're not going to benefit from that, and nor is anybody around you going to benefit from that. So I really appreciate that. You're really bringing up some things that I haven't thought about in a long time. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me talk. So Albert, when you talk about the emotional side, and I know one of the things that we as women in the group we deal with, because we've been single, and for us it's walking in that full masculine energy. I mean full masculine, where we do everything, where we are like we're fixing things, we're doing things, but our feminine side is not present. Like when you think about a woman, and I'm gonna say, I know Tara, we all deal with that that masculine side of ourselves because we've been single. We have to do these things for ourselves. when you think about that, how would a man deal with a woman who like walks in full masculine? Like, I don't need to, I can do this by myself. Hey, let me do this. My show. Okay? How do men deal with that part of a woman? Like, how, and if you are so answer that question first, and then I'll get to the next question.
So this is a good one right here. This is a good one. Um, so as you began speaking, the first thing that popped up into my head was my mother. That was my mom. You know what I'm saying? I knew my dad, but it's neither here nor there. But that's my mom. And then as far as dealing with a woman that's like that, which I've never had, um, as I started to learn Tara, and I'm like, man, what's going on with this? And then we had a conversation. She was talking about her masculinity and everything, and I'm listening, you know, and as kept speaking, certain things started to pop up in my head, and I have nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with now. If there's anything wrong with the woman, with the masculinity thing, but however, you can't lose focus and lose sight on the feminine side. We don't want to do that. We like everything in life. Everything is about balance. But that masculinity thing also, women use that as a form, as a defense mechanism. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I get it. I mean, like I said, I support that. It's a bit challenging, but I tend to
Man,
think I
you
can
could be
handle anything.
honest. You could be honest.
I'm
You
just
could be
no.
totally
I'm
honest.
just telling this. I'm telling you, I don't have a problem with it, as long as it's able to be channeled the right way at the right time. The masculinity thing, when when we on some Netflix and chill, all right, you can put that over there. That ain't, I'm the masculine one right now. Leave the other stuff over there. But when that time calls for it, I truly support it. You know what I'm saying? Because I could just look at the Black Panther part. There were a whole bunch of women, that were in touch with their masculine side when the time called for it.
Right, right. So I was just about to say that. So it's like there's a time and a place for that masculine energy that we hold. And I know we talk about this all the time where we are just like, it's hard for us to relinquish that control because we've been doing it for so long. And then here comes an Albert and we're just like, I don't know how to let go. I don't know how to do that. And there may be some things that we say that have been said, and you're kind of like, now, hold on. So is there a point of correction where you say, ma'am, okay, so let's do this over here. Because I'm the man. And it's not being a disrespectful thing because when we hear that, we're just like, excuse me, you're the man. So when you talk that way, it's like I think it's the way it comes out to us. Because to us, we're just like, what? Because we're so used to being the man. We're so used to getting up. And what is that movie? There was a movie where the woman dressed, she was a woman but dressed as a man. And so we get into that thing every day. Like we are that person because we don't know how. And so do you think like being the man that you are today, if Tara had came back like years ago, do you think that you would still be with her today, knowing that she walked in that masculine energy?
No, no. And that would just also be based on the person that I was back then. It was no filter. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm reactionary.
Yeah.
So the first thing that pop up is the first thing that's gonna come out, and then it's over with. You know what I'm saying? But that was when I was. I mean, you got two different types of men. You have adults, by definition, once you turn 18, you're an adult. That don't make you a man though. So are you an adult or are you a grown ass man?
That was my stepfather. He was the perfect stepfather. He loved me as his own. He always cared about me.
Well,
Sorry, I don't
You say what?
you were like, what?
No, but it's like I was just when you said something about time and a place to be masculine and whatever, who about to wait? Who about to wait? I'm not waiting. I'm not about to sit here and wait for you to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this at this time. No, if you can't be that, regularly, go on.
All right, well, okay, well, you know what then? Because you just got a little unfiltered with me. All right, so listen, so check this out, sister. Listen, I understand what you mean by who gonna wait. Okay, I understand it. However, regardless of waiting or not, you still gonna have to channel it the right way. Even in mainstream society, there are times where in the course of life, where you're going to be interacting with the mainstream society, and you can't carry on the same way. I go through that. Trust me, believe me, I go through that. I can't be at work, and be out there and I play music, and I'm playing the Black Panther Party theme song. Would I like to? Yes, I would. I would like to do that, but I have to channel that. You know, I can't stand in front of my job and be yelling humanitarianism rights and this that, and the third, and women's rights and pro life, all that. I can't do that. But that's what I want to do every single day. Every single day, that's what I do. Every single day, I think of ways and I strive in the cause to better the situation of people, not black people, not brown people, not white people, people. So we have to, at times, stop, pause,
Yes.
and think before we react. And I'm telling you, as a person, which I wasn't even going to bring this up, but I asked Chad, I said, "Look, if something comes up, are you comfortable with this?" She said, "Nah, like whatever you got to do." So I'm telling you this: the stopping thing and the pausing before you react cost me a lot of years of my life. I did an 8-year bid and I did a 13-year bid.
Wow.
And this right here is the foundation which made me want to change my life. So that's what made me. So now I understand and I know, that you cannot react to everything. You got to stop for a minute and you got to think. You got to think things through. But I don't regret it at the same time.
Okay.
Because you might still be reacting, right? I mean, if you didn't, because that's how we learn. I'm the same way. I can be very reactionary, and I've learned as I gotten older that sometimes it bites you in the ass, and it does not go in your favor. And yeah, even if it feels good at the time, I've been at that point where, oh yeah, I unloaded and I felt so good and I wanted to puke at the same time because I'm like, I might just have lost my job doing that. I may have just put myself in a position. Hey, I see what, definitely get that.
So when you think about the like Albert had made the comment of being an imbalance, when you think about masculine and feminine energy, what we have done, and we all are in agreement within this setting, that we walk in our masculine energy more than we walk in our feminine. So what he's saying is like we have to have the balance and knowing when to be that masculine person. And even if he's in the room, so for me, this is how I would look at it, Albert. Like if I had a man that was in with me all the time, and a moment came up where the masculine needed to be there, I'm stepping back because that's you need to do that. You need to give me the protection because what I find for me is one of the things that I deal with is that I'm always protecting Tarina. Like there is no one out here to protect me. So example, my daughter's dad and I, we went to Las Vegas, and when you're in Vegas, like there's this part Fremont. And so, people are always coming up to you and things like that. And so the little girls with their little tutus on, can you want a picture? And I'm just like, no. And I'm doing that to protect him. Like, no, we don't need a picture. No, we don't need a picture. And then there were like these, they're kind of like the Chippendale guys. And so the guy was like, can I give her? And he asked him, can I give her some beads? He said, you can do whatever you want to do. In that moment, I was like, wow, what happened to the protection that I needed that I'm giving to you, but you literally tell this man, well, you can do whatever you want to do. And I thought, okay, so it really solidifies now that I have to protect myself in setting when I know when I'm with him, I gotta full on walk in the protection for myself because I know you're not gonna do that for me. So like for when Pula said that, like who has time to wait? In those settings, I know I don't have time to wait. I know I don't have the time to sit here and wait for him to protect me because at some point it's going down in the paint. So I have to always, I know when I'm with him, I always have to be masculine and just not a lot, but enough masculine to where I know that if something happened, I can get myself out of that situation. So when we talk about the duality of that and making sure that we're balanced, what I don't want to do anymore, and this is just me, I don't want to keep walking in masculine.
Mhm.
I want protection all the time. I don't want to have to go out here and keep protecting me when I got a man, a whole man, that walks around here like he's the gangster and he's all cuz this, cuz that. But then when it comes down to the woman that you're with, you can do whatever you want to do. That affected me. Now I'm not with him today, so just so you know. But it was settings that made me realize that I am always protecting Tarina. And I don't want to keep doing that anymore. I want a man that's gonna be there to say and just kind of push me back and say, I got this. You ain't gotta say nothing. Because he walks in the full confidence that I am the man and I got you. So you just go ahead and put yourself in protection and go shelter yourself because I got this. But if need be, then I'm gonna come out and come into that role if the protection is in a situation where he's kind of sinking. You know what I'm saying? That makes, not does that make sense? Does that make it seem like you're stupid? So that's where I'm at. I'm at the place of I don't want to keep doing it. So as a man, how would you tell us women, how do we relinquish that control of masculinity so that the man can come? Teach us, Albert. You're muted.
Huh?
I thought I was saying you were muted.
Oh, I'm muted.
No, you're not anymore.
Oh, okay. Um, I haven't always been, you know, a guy that would be considered as a pick of the litter. You know what I mean? But I think first and foremost, um, this is my advice. I tell my daughters this too. Like, listen, you out here meeting these guys, you know, you got to be very careful on how you choosing these guys. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, you really shouldn't be with a man who doesn't know who he is. And that's on both sides. That's for men and for women. So coming from the woman's side, you need to know that this cat right here that you, I guess, think about being with, you need to make sure that he knows who he is as a man completely. Because if he doesn't, how will he defend you if he can't defend himself? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like in conversation, I told Tara, I said, listen, this is funny right here too. It was a joke at first. I said, look, I'm the boss. He
It's
said the
wrong.
boss.
He is
He said
her.
the boss. He said, what is that? What do you mean by you the boss? You don't have no bosses. But I was, my comedic side or whatever. But I told her in short, like, look, let me be the man and you be the woman. That's it. That's it. Now in those times when you're away from me, that's when I need for the masculine side to come out. Because I'm not with you physically to protect you. But the other half, that's when you need to display it. You don't display it when you're with me. Not when you are one place and I'm in another place. Now I know that you have the tools to defend yourself.
So is that what we're talking about with masculinity? Because like when Tara helped you out and things with your job and stuff, and she took charge, isn't that kind of masculine, her taking the upper hand?
That's
I mean,
Well,
okay, because I'm like,
no,
okay,
no.
that's
That's
the
good. No, no.
part. That's the part of when you think about us as individuals, we are kind of like we have that need, that part of us. So when you think about Albert, that's just a woman stepping into her role as a queen. I can't see my king failing in the kingdom. What? Because now what do I got to do? So what Tara did is she stepped in and said, "Sir, listen. Now let's do this and be strategic and help him think a different way to do the thing or the different way to fight the war." Because that's really what our ancestors did. When men went to war, it wasn't on the men, it was the woman who told them, all right, now go to battle, now go to war, now you fight. This is how you fight. So when you think about what Albert was going through, he needed someone outside of the scope of the male part, because a man is going to be like, I'm not doing it. I'm frustrated, and he will rather walk away than to sit and fight. And so what Tara is teaching him is, sir, come back. Let us gather ourselves, and this is the way we're going to do it. So it's
so
like
when you're talking about masculinity, you're talking about protection.
we're
You're talking about safety more so than anything.
yes.
Okay.
Him, that was just when we talk about in the Bible tells us we are helpmates. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to hinder you. I'm not here to be persuade you. I'm not here to change you. I'm here to help you. Any relationship that we get in, it should be helping me to level up, not keeping me at this base level or bottom leveling me to make me feel like I'm not good enough to even be in your presence. So when we think about Tara and Albert, he's like, when she came back, it could have been the thing of, Tara not seeing that part of him. Because a lot of women don't see the inner soul of a man. They just see the outer parts and think, oh, well, he's okay. But what she said was, let me help you. Even if we don't become whatever, let me just help you. Because that's just the kind of people that we are. Women, we help.
Right.
I'm going to help you. So when he saw that, he's like, okay, and that's all she wanted. She didn't want nothing else. She didn't want no money. She didn't ask me for anything. She came and she helped me in my lowest moment. Then I'm gonna come to her.
So clearly, I see that you get it. You get my point. And that was the way that I looked at it. I'm like, okay, I don't need to think about anything.
Hello.
It was just presented to me just now. So this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We locked and loaded now.
Yeah. So the plate she served him wasn't a plate of discord, malice, confusion, all of that bitterness, the anger. I mean, it probably erupts sometimes with Tara because remember what I told her on the call Wednesday, she wasn't used to a king, she was used to a peasant. So when a peasant was trying to tell her certain things, he didn't know he doesn't know the access to the palace. He only knows the outer part of the palace. Then you got a king that's like, go sit down. So when Wednesday, when we talked about that, I said, put your crown on and go sit at the throne and just let the king do what he has to do. Now, at what point do I have to come up off the throne and say, sir, we need to be God, let me guide you back to this place. But the king is always going to rule the kingdom, regardless if a queen is there or not. The king is always, he takes authority. When we think about in Tarot, Gail, the king is the ruler, he's the authority. The queen, she is the nurturer. She sees, she's intuitive. She can probably tell Albert, hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Which is what she did a while back, but that person didn't listen to her. And so he just kind of just kept falling off the cliff. And then she's coming over the cliff, helping him back up. With the king, I don't know. I just let me be guided. But remember when we talked about Jesus and Pontius Pilate and his wife, and Jesus came and she told him, listen, don't you have nothing to do with this man. Because she knew the end, because the dream had already came to her. She knew the end result before Pontius Pilate did. So she came and she said, don't you have nothing to do with him. Send him away, because if you keep dealing with this man, it's going to mess up the whole kingdom. What did because Pontius Pilate was a wise man and knew the aspects of his wife, he said, okay, and he tried to send him away. And then he kind of roundabouted it like, okay, well, maybe if we put this person and this person together, they'll let Jesus go. Because he knew he didn't do nothing. But at the end of it all, Pontius Pilate told him, he said, listen, he washed his hands 3 times and said, the blood is not on my hands, because I did that which was in my heart. And I followed the intuition lead of the queen. And I kind of probably rambled, but that's what that is, okay?
Well, I think coming from a place where my dad made all the decisions, he was the logical one, he was the nurturer, the whole bag. It's hard to differentiate what is the actual masculine. I get the nurturing side. As a grandma, I love being a nurturer, totally. It's that part where am I like sticking my nose in where, you know, that mama bear. I get the protection part. It's more of the you need to do this type of thing. Like with my son, right? My son's looking for a job. Here's the things that you need to do. You know, sometimes he welcomes it, sometimes he doesn't welcome it, that type of thing. So for me, the way I ruled my house, just say, not I don't want to say ruled, but the way I did things was patterned after my father. So I think a lot of things were masculine for me. I think being feminine for me is when I let Chuck take the reins. Here, take over. I'm good. I'll act like a girl for a day or an hour or whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
And it's hard.
I do that all the
It's
time.
hard. I mean, it is hard to differentiate. Now I get it. I get what you're saying now. But I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense.
I didn't even have, like, I had 2 parents in the household. So when I think about my mom was both. So my mom took authority over things. My mom was controlling. My mom did everything. My stepdad just kind of was just there. He handed over the
It's
check
hard.
like here. So there was never any part of protection for me. So even in the abuse from the man that you called your king, it was kind of like she ruled. She ruled in a way with a man present. So it's like, oh, I don't want to be in that, because where was the protection? Like, where did he give protection? There wasn't any. He was the violator. So when I think about protection, and so again, like how I ruled. And when I had my older 2, I ruled the way my mom did. Like I was iron fist. No, you respect. But then it was just like there was no compassion for my children. So my older two, I really learned recently that I overparented them because of the abuse that I went through. So I never saw my children. I saw me in my kids, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
parent them the way I needed to be parented. And so it now became a thing where I'm providing this protection for two children that they already have a daddy. So I became both, and I didn't know how to that role. So I totally get it, Gail, where you're when you say, you know, I don't know how to differentiate between because my mom was there and then I had my stepdad, but it was like who was the authority that you went to? Because it's
Yeah.
like if discipline needed, mom did it. Dad never took authority in the discipline. It was always mom. And if he had to, it was because like, do you remember that little thing from Kevin Hart? Your mama said I gotta beat you, son. So if it's going, she told me if I don't do it, but he doesn't really like that was how my stepdad was. Well, your mother told me we gotta spank you. So I'm just here to spank you. Really not really wanting to, but having it was like she thrusted him in this role when she wanted him to be there.
I used to
Hmm.
tell Angel, who do you want, mom or dad? He'd piss me off, and I'd be like, take a pick, take a pick. He'd always pick dad, and I'm like, why do you pick dad? He goes, because he ain't around. So, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, but his dad wasn't around. So, anyways,
Why my grandson be giving it to his mama every morning, every day. So, Albert, no, that one. So when you talked about, you mentioned when a man knows who he is, and what I want to ask you is, for a woman that's single, what does that look like? For a man right now, because Albert knows who he is, what does that look like so that we can kind of separate and divide the man that doesn't? I mean, because I'm pretty sure I probably know. But I just want to hear it from a male perspective. What does that look like when you say knows who he is?
Well,
mm,
it's kind of like levels to when it comes to myself personally. I can't speak for the next guy. Can't speak for how it would look to the guy next to me. But for me, it's um getting to know who I am first is um so I I'm a religious man. I'm saying I believe in the creator and all of that. So I have to become knowledgeable in my faith first. That's the first thing. Got to be in tune with that. The second thing is, in being a black man here in America, I have to totally understand, whether I like it or not, what that means. That means that for the other guy, I can't put the same amount of work in it as he does. I got to go twice as hard as he has to go, and I have to understand that at an early age. You know, which I've been working for a long time. My first job was at 12 years old. So once I learned that right there, now I gotta move on to the next stage. The next stage is what I'm talking about is what we do professionally. You know what I'm saying? Do I go about my job like it's a job, or do I go about my job as a profession? And I roll along like it's a profession. I don't look at it as a job. You know what I'm saying? I look at it as this is how I survive, this is my means. You know what I'm saying? So I have to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? I have to act as such at work. Always carry myself respectfully. You know, once I can line those things all up, you know what I'm saying? And then there's the other side, there's the inner side now. Understanding and going through day-to-day life, I'm going to come across some emotions. So now I have to learn how to channel things internally. Everything can't be outward. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Then I have to figure out what my purpose is in life. And this is the most important one. When I found my purpose in life, the transformation, and said, okay, this right here is what was meant for me to do. This is why I went through 21 years in the prison system for, to prepare me for this moment. So that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? You know, and when Tara and I reconnected, the only person that she knew was the person that I was way back then. She didn't know about the in between. So when she asked me one time, well, what do you like to do for fun? I said, well, fun for me is uh, going to get a cup of coffee and going to Barnes and Noble and reading. You know, study on what I study on. I read. You know, or I'll go work out. That's fun for me. But reading first and foremost, that's the first thing for me. And she was, I ain't gonna say she was surprised, but she was a bit taken aback. You know, I'm like, yeah, like that's what's up. Like, you know, maybe one day, you know, I can take you on a date to the bookstore. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the things that attract me in a female. You know what I mean? Her intellect. You know what I mean? I look at the intellect first. That's the first thing I look at.
I tell my
So,
beautiful, and be dumb as a rock,
yeah,
pretty as you can, but dumb as a rock. So one of the things that I deal with in that aspect is when they see you, they think, "Oh, she's so pretty," but don't think that I have any smarts about me. And I'm like, no, I'm a very, very smart. I'm very sharp individual. Um, very articulate, can communicate, you know, navigate through some things. So don't let the smooth taste fool you. So I'm an avid reader. Avid. I love books myself. So, anywho,
Hey,
keep
is I'm still mute? I'm mute.
your unmuted.
we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. I'm gonna put myself back on mute because I'm in the hospital. But all the stuff, I agree with what you were saying. I can relate to some things that you're saying since I'm be trying to touch into my feminist, my softer side. And I think that um, the things she was saying does relate to some of us women's out here. Um, we have to put it up. It's a time and a place for it. And we have to understand when we do get with that. I have to have a strong man. I do. You got to be real dominated over me a little bit. Tell me to sit down. Tell me just, once in a while, give me that self judge. Say, girl, just be quiet. I'm tired of listening to that mess. But I think that I'm kind of understand now how to soften that part when a man take control. At first, it's like, what you doing? Why you doing that? Who do that? What make you do that? That don't make sense. So I have to try to understand. I don't need to always speak. Sometimes stand back and watch and let him lead by actions and don't always interrupt but just take charge because I'm a take charge girl. Like she said, this is what we've been doing. We've been taking care of these kids. We've been taking care of home. We've been trying to figure it all out. So when somebody come, um, I have to sit back and put it on the shelf and say, okay, you put the gas in the car? Say, what? That's what I'm talking about. Without me saying, you see the car, honey, can't you put the gas in the car? I need a man to think like that and to lead. And I will follow. But it took self searching to become that person. It took a lot of in looking into yourself and want to make these changes before somebody come in your life. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy. It's still challenging at times because I think people are starting to challenge me. I don't know why, but I think it's part of my process of growth. I'm more like when people say things out of terms now, I'm like, oh, I want to tell her ass off. Oh, I want to snap. But part of me is like, no, everybody doesn't deserve your energy. Everybody doesn't deserve that person.
Yeah.
So I think I'm being tested.
Yeah, and
all
but
the time.
it's testing us to get us to, like Albert said, stop and think about, is this something that I need to do in this moment? Do I need to cuss you out? Because you have to think about it, Miss Tangela. We all have way more to lose than the average the person that we deal with. This younger generation is the one that tests us. So I have way more to lose. I have children, I have a home, I have a car, I have a job. I have so much more to lose. And so for me, if I come out of character and so I have my personalities, Albert, Tanika. If I get to Tanika, it's over.
Right.
So if I get to that last part of me, we're done. And so it's like a reasoning, and like you just said, it's like a reasoning with yourself. Tangela, do they need this part of you, or can you just wash that off and just whatever, because I'm not going to argue my truth anymore. And at this age, I'm not arguing the truth. I know what the truth is. I'm not going to argue with you about that. You can think whatever you want to think about me, but as I go along, I still got to make this 26 some odd dollars an hour. I still got to work my 40. I still got to come home and take care of my kids. I still got to do. You think I'm going to come to work and worry about what you think about me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And that's the part that's really challenging me because, I know who I don't, I used to be. I'm going to say used to be now, and I had to look at this lady yesterday. It took everything in me not to get in that ass real quick. Everything. I said, angels, God, if you want to say home, Mary, whatever, I'm going to need some help.
Laughing.
Hi, how y'all doing? So it took everything in me to challenge myself. And now I'm like, okay, girl, you did that. You conquered that. You didn't even give a response to her nonsense. Then at the end of the day, she wanted to give me a hug. And I gave her a hug at the end of the day. Whether it was her hug was fake or not, I don't really care.
But we got to think about that too, Miss Tangela, where when we encounter people in our life, in our sphere of the 6th degree of separation, in our sphere of influence, we don't know what a person's going through. And one thing I've learned is I don't know what Tangela went through today. But I know that I had some stuff cracking off at home. On the way to work, I had some stuff cracking off. And then I get here, and the first person is finna get it is if you say anything, if it sounds messed up to me, I'm finna give it to you. I'm just letting loose. So when you think about that kind of thing, are you okay? Because as soon as you come off at me messed up, one of the things that I told one of my clients, I said, at work, I had told her, I said, when I called a location and the girl was so rude and she was just like, yeah, and I kind of just stopped. And so I have to stop the conversation because I want you to hear how you just said what you said and know that it pinched me a little bit. And so then after I talked to her, the girl became so nice. Now, I don't know what she got going on. I don't know if you didn't want to come to work today. I don't know. But I know that I have a job that I have to do. Like Albert said, I have a job that I have to do. I have a profession that I'm in. Even inside of my job, I'm still a coach. So I have to be able to say, if I come out my face right now, that means that I diminish the capacity of my title and my leadership role to come down to your level. Remember, I always told y'all, I've never seen an eagle come from way up there to come down and frolic with a pigeon or a bird. I've never seen it. So
Come on, girl.
like Michelle Obama said, I'm gonna stay high and you can stay down there, but I'm not coming down to your level because I have to be ever watchful. Like Albert said, I have to be ever watchful in my attitude. If you come out your face to me, let me hear what you're saying. Let me kind of feel that. Okay, so now is it directed towards me? Because it's probably aimed towards me. And then let me have my eagle eye and go higher to see exactly, scan the perimeter. Because do I need to attack you now? Because if I have to come from way up there, that means when I come down, think about an eagle. When I come down and I grab you, I'm taking you all the way up to my level and then I'm going to drop you and hope you survive. So
That's what I'm talking about.
that's how an eagle, when you study, because they had us study an eagle at church. When you think about an eagle, if I have to come from up there, if I have to come from off my throne, when I come, I'm grabbing you and I'm taking you up to where I have to go as an eagle, and then I'm gonna drop you. And if you survive, you survive. And if you don't.
And that's why I try my best to humble those things that's in me and try to remember where I come from and who I am now, and trying to stay within the queen that I am.
Yeah, the
So
queen
that
delegates when it comes down to someone attacking me. Remember when we talked about that on Wednesday, when we're sitting on our throne as a queen, I can delegate the soldiers to be like, go handle that. So I can tell my angel guides, my spirit guides, my ancestors, go handle him. Because some things I don't have to come up off my throne. I do not. And then sometimes I don't even have to tell the king I had to chop somebody's head off today. I mean, we might talk about that over dinner, but I don't necessarily have to run to the king and be like, listen, that Pookie was bothering. And so I just take that to my soldiers, my spiritual soldiers, go handle him. Cause as the queen. So it's really kind of honoring yourself and valuing yourself to say, I'm the queen. I don't have to take off my crown and come up off the throne. But when I do, and that's the thing that we have to give them. But if I have to, always remember, I'm grabbing and I'm going to take you so high. And when I drop you, either you're going to survive or you're not. But just
so I'm trying
know,
to find that middle person. That's what I'm
yeah,
trying to find, because you're gonna go either high or I'm gonna get low. So I'm trying to find that middle person too. And I'm just like, I'm learning to close my mouth and just look and listen and stay in my peace
mhm.
and learn that it's okay. You're not, to me, that's punkish, but
You're not a punk. It's just using, like Albert said, it's using the wisdom in that moment, because like he said, there's a lot of things that we have gotten in trouble for because, number one, Tangela, we are Black women in a society that they don't even like the color of my skin. They don't even like the texture of my hair. They don't even like the fact that I'm voluptuous in places that they are not. So it's every day. Every day I have to get up and realize, Serena, you're Black. Okay. So there's certain things that you cannot do. Like Albert said, I got to fight twice as hard in the job that I'm in just to prove that I belong here. So you think I'm going to come out my face? No, I got to use wisdom, because using wisdom means that I get to go when things filter up, I just retreat and go talk to my God. I don't even know why this is happening. I don't what is going on, because if I talk, that's why he says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. If I seek the kingdom first, then I'll know how to navigate through the thing. Remember, he told us, come talk to me and I'll work with you and I'll get you out of the trouble that you're in. I'll help you. When somebody comes to you, Tangela, God, listen, I don't know why she doing that, but help me filter through it. And sometimes it just falls off by itself. But sometimes it's a lesson to teach you, ma'am. Now, are you going to go high or are you going to go low?
yeah. And I'm trying to stay high.
High. Yes, ma'am.
Trying to
that's the
stay
thing.
high.
Yes.
So I've been working hard on that. How that have been coming through for me.
So
But
when you think about a man as well, especially when it comes down to a man in a setting, and you got on the call after I told Albert this, when we come down to us being these masculine women, because that's pretty much what we are, I don't want to miss the man because I'm so masculine, and I'm just like, no, and I'm always walking in this mode of protection. So I don't know how to just relinquish the control and just be like, let me just see, how's he going to fit? Is he going to, because I've been hurt so many times. So when we think about that too, in the aspect, Tangela, for you, I don't want to keep being hard. If a man come up and be like, can I pump your gas? You sure can. But then it's like, we got to learn how to filter him out. Like Albert said, vet the man, make sure, just listen to how he talks to you. That tells you everything you need to know in that one setting. He'll tell you everything you need to know if you're listening and not just looking at the outer part of him, but really hearing this. He ain't got nothing,
And see, that's a key thing. What you just said about, if you let a person talk long enough, they will eventually reveal who they truly are. Eventually, it might take some time sometimes, or it might be right away. You know what I mean? I can say that because I've been one of them people.
Oh.
could I ask you this? Why do it take men's, like when they cry or cry in front of you, it takes a lot out of them to do it. It takes it's like Like one of my coworkers last night, because I work 2 jobs, he was like, somebody died, and he was, that he used to know recently just died at the restaurant we work at, and he was like, before I came here, I didn't want to come in here, Tangy. No, I didn't want to come in here, I forgot what he called me. And I want to come in here, but I cried like a little bitch. I've really been crying all day like a little bitch. And I'm saying to myself, why it gotta always be like a bitch when you cry? Why it can't just be like you cry like a man?
Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Because it's the vulnerability thing. Vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do good with that. You know what I'm saying? That's exposing yourself. There's, you know what I mean? There's no coverage in it. There's nothing covering you.
Ooh, Albert.
Yes.
That was about to make me cry. Like, oh my God. Oh, why did that just wait, hold on. Oh, okay, go ahead. Continue. That just touched me. Ooh.
I mean, when my mom died, that was the first time, like, literally I cried in front of somebody, in front of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And during the time where I was just like a mess, in the back of my mind, even while still going through that, I was saying to myself, I know I gotta look crazy crying like this in front of her. But I didn't care. And then eventually, kind of like when I kind of like I started coming back around, she brought it up. She was like, "Oh, I've never really seen a man cry like that in front of me. This, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Were you ever worried about how I was gonna look at you?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I wasn't." And maybe because it was my situation. I mean, maybe I don't know. Other situation why a man crying. You know, maybe it might, have a different perception. But crying, crying in front of a woman, that take guts. I'm not using it as an excuse, but that take guts. Because when you do, you're essentially saying, you know, here I am. You're getting the purest part of me.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
do you guys feel in that moment, Albert? Sorry, Miss Tangela. Do you guys feel in that moment that when we have the purest part of you, is that a part that you become afraid because you think that we're going to take something from you in that moment?
Um, I think it's a little bit of the moment, and then the overall picture. Down the road. You
Oh,
know,
okay. Okay. Yeah.
like for example, uh, my biggest thing is, I remember I was telling Tara this. I said, "Look, I'll never try to change who you are. If I try to change anything about who you are, then you won't be the woman that I fell in love with. If I take one thing away,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So that's how I kind of like feel also. Like, I feel the same way when it comes to me. You know, you just gotta throw your like they say, throw yourself in the wind.
Yeah.
You gotta throw yourself in the wind and be prepared for if you don't get what you were seeking. Just be prepared for that. You know. So like when Tara and I reconnected, I threw caution into the wind. So I just was like, well, whatever happens, happens. You know what I mean? So I've been holding on this for long enough. I'm gonna get it off my chest. I was like, but I will do what I can do to sway her. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a big believer in. This is also, scripture. Action precedes speech all the time. You can talk the talk all you want. But when it's time to put that work in, though, you better back that talk up
Right.
because this right here is what you will be judged on. This
Yep.
will be your perception of people.
Yep. Miss Tangela, were you going to say something?
So we talk about the of a man crying and the reason why that opens him up a little bit for us to see him in a space that he really don't too much allow too many people to see. Well, what about the man that's too hard? They don't open up and you can't see it. That's a non-attraction thing for me too. When I say I want a man hard, I don't want a man that too hard that can't see any emotions or any love or scared to say I love you, or a man that's so hard that he stopped feeling. And
That's
why
okay.
is that?
So that what you were talking about, that's bitterness.
Hmm.
Bitterness and hard is two different things.
Okay.
Bitterness, when you say about person stop feeling, they
Mhm.
become numb. That's from the bitterness comes from, I don't know, it could come from a multitude of things, but more times than not, the guys that end up being bitter, you know, has something to do with, from childhood. You know what I'm saying? The way they came up, the way they were raised. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The mother or father that they didn't have. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. And over
Mhm.
time, remember what I said to you. The heart is different. So all of that negative stuff that is going on, his heart absorbs that.
Ooh.
And then this is where the numbness comes in. So now
You're muted. Oh, go ahead. Say it again.
every I said your heart absorbs everything. So it's absorbing all of what's going on. And then by the time that happens, now it's created a numbness in you. You know what I mean? It's like you become like the movie Eyes Wide Shut. That's a perfect analogy.
That movie.
Eyes wide shut. Everything is being taken place in front of you, and you don't feel nothing one way or the other. So
That's
that's what that's being bitter. And you know, bitterness is it's real. Like it's like, and I'm gonna be transparent about something. But prior to me during the time that I just previously did, I had a situation, and I was telling Tara like I don't think I ever really. She said, "Well, have you forgiven her?" No,
oh,
no. So much so, I'm like, I don't know what would happen if we were to ever cross paths. And that's how bad it was. Like, I was left for dead.
oh.
Stole from me and left me for dead. And Tara was like, well, I think you need to work on the forgiveness thing. You know, the forgiveness is for you, not for her. I
Absolutely.
understand. Yeah, I understand it, but because of the impact it caused on me internally, you know what I'm saying? Like it kind of like damaged my heart a little bit. So I understand the bitterness. I truly, I do.
So what would be the difference? So when we're talking about, because I'm assuming it's an X is what I just heard. It's an X. So when we get to that part of the equation, Albert, knowing that an X had did this to you, what was the difference between Tara and this person where you were just like, I'm finna just give you everything and I'm gonna let you in? And do you think that bitterness from the ex will affect what you have going on with Tara?
Um, no, the bitterness will not affect that. Hold on. Repeat the first part of the question.
first part of the question is, what was the difference? Because I know as a man, you guys hold a lot of the, like you said, the heart things there. So when Tara came back, what was the difference to where you were just like, I'm just gonna
Okay.
let it go and not
All right.
hold that part of you?
Okay. So the first part is, um, I've worked on myself for so long, and I've, you know, affirmations, prayer, whatever, asking for a good woman,
Oh,
you know,
well, look at
asking
that.
for a good woman, but first and foremost, that she challenges me mentally. A woman that has to challenge me mentally. You have to. You can't just let me just walk over you. Not that I intend to, but I need to know that you stand your ground from the beginning. I get that from her. Now, the main thing was this. I knew what type of woman she was. I knew she was a good woman. I knew she was a smart woman. You know what I mean? I knew she was a loving woman. I knew that she had a lot to offer, to offer a man, which led me to think of what she went through in her past,
Mm.
knowing that she deserved to be treated a certain way. And I said, I'm the person that's supposed to be giving her all of that.
We love you, Albert. We love you so much.
Girl, did you hear all that?
You
That was amazing.
know?
But to have a man, I think this is one of the things that we have discussed is when she talks about you, it's like this woman is erupting. And it's not so much as when we first met, I remember meeting Tara, and it was like this little girl who needed validation. She needed to feel complete. She needed like a hope, like this light. She needed to know, where is the light? And as we've gone through this year, we've seen this, the little girl become this teenager, and now she's, and then here comes Albert, and this woman has erupted out of terror that I'm just like, oh my God. And so when she talks about you, it's not the same as what she used to talk about in and are you okay for me to say his name out, Tara?
listen, listen, listen. I want to explain something to you, okay? I don't have a problem with it because, as I just told Tara, I said, we got a saying that we say around the way. She said, what's that? I said, well, with the guy that you were formerly with, when the new guy comes along, the new guy looks at the other guy and says, well, I'm going to do with your chick what you failed to do or couldn't do.
Yes.
So just watch. So just watch as she blossoms.
And she has, like, and that's the thing that I'm saying. So when I remember when we had talked, when she first said that you guys had started talking again, just remembering Visago, and now here's Albert. It's like it's so different. It's like this world of difference in the treatment and like how she lights up when she's like, well, and she talks about you, and there's this smile. Like this energy is so different when just from what we've known. So I can say now that there's this woman that is erupting that just is like learning how to sit back and say, I'm the queen and I put my crown on, and I don't have to fight as hard just to be Tara. Like with Albert, she's just Tara. Do you know what I'm saying? But with Visago, it was like she had to be Tara, the man, this, that, the helper, the nurse, the doctor, the child care provider. It was so many parts to her that it was like she couldn't even be the business owner that she wanted to be, So with that, I think it's just having that max. So when we say helpmate, I'm thinking, and I like to say the fact that is Albert. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to hinder you. I'm not here to make your life hard. I'm here to just provide that when we level up, it's like Albert levels up and then he takes her by the hand and he levels up and then she levels up, and it's just kind of like that leveling up
Yeah.
where we're not separate, but we're together in the thing.
Mhm.
But okay, so what I just saw was, it's like, you know, when you go up a mountain and what you do, the next person levels up, is like they dig this trench for her to be able to grab her footing. So when you pull her up, she's able to put her foot down and know that he's built this foundation for me to go to the next level. So that's kind of just what I just saw, like a mountain. There's nothing on the
Okay.
side of the mountain, but you built something and you created this place for the footing to come so she can go to the next level.
I like that. I like that, and I can see it. You drew a very good picture just now. Very good visual picture.
Very good.
Um, and I agree 100% totally. Um, but what I don't think that Tara knows is, in the course of all of that, is that I can remember being told by an older guy. He was like, "Look, man," he's like, "Do you know what the woman that you want to be with? Do you know what the base are on?" And it was like, it was a vague question. I mean, I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, that could mean anything. And he said, no, there's only one answer. So I'm like, well, what's the answer then? He said, you base and judge her off of, does she bring you peace when you hear her voice?
Mhm.
Say it again,
Oh.
Albert.
You base or judge the woman off of that you want to be with on if when you hear her voice, does she bring you peace?
Mm.
So this is a true story that happened a couple days ago. So a few years ago, I had hernia surgery. I had 3 hernias. Had operation on them. One finally came back, popped back up. The main thing that affects my hernia is stress. And work be having me stressed out. Boy, I tell you, I'll be stressed out. And this particular day, the pain was so bad. So I text her and told her it was clearing up. She calls me. And as we're on the phone talking, and I'm still working, maybe an hour and a half later, I don't feel no more pain. And I didn't take anything. I don't be taking I don't know, none of that.
Yeah.
And I said, I really believe that when you called me talking to you, me hearing your voice, that brought my stress level down. And then the pain went away. And it's been like that for a few days now,
Aw,
you know?
such a love story this is.
Well, I mean, it is, but it's not finished though.
I can't wait for it to continue, and I can't wait for the day that we all get to come together and have these kind of settings, especially being the older generation, because I know the younger generation, they do have these settings where they're talking about relationships. And I think for us as the elders, it makes for us, when we're talking about relationships, to give the wisdom to them, because right now they're just kind of going through the fluff of things, and they really don't know. Like a relationship takes work. And especially for our generation, because of the things that we have gone through in life, just all of the hurt and, the daddy issues, the mommy issues, the abuse, the neglect. And so trying to put ourselves in a relationship with all of this baggage,
Mhm.
and then bringing the baggage to the table, it makes it for where this generation now, because I see them with their mics in their hand and they're talking about what it looks like. Hang on a second, y'all. I'm sorry.
Will, are you still there? No.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just checking.
I
I'm
was
checking
gonna
on you,
say,
Quilla.
Miss Serena made it harder for me, and men and whatever since I got this dog. Cause she was like, how I want my dog and stuff, and how I treat my dog is how men should treat me and want me. And when they don't show me that, it's just like, bye.
Hold on, hold on. What you
Man,
mean?
like I want you to want me, and it's just like
That's
if I
good.
don't feel wanted or loved, I don't need you.
So Quilla
And
has a
it
dog.
sucks,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Quilla. I'm
and
sorry.
it sucks because it's like the putting on the masculinity and stuff like that. It's like the things I done been through and stuff like that is I'm not putting it down. You have to show me you have me for me to put it down. I'm
Put
not
it
just
down.
gonna put it down and wait for you to show me, oh, I got you at this moment. I got you. No, you're gonna have me regardless, or you're not gonna be here. I don't need you for your money or anything like that. If you have it, you have it, but I need you to want me for me, you know, and I don't want no
That
trauma
action.
bond relationship. I don't want to come in based on, you know, what we done been through and stuff like that, and you feeling sorry for me. That's why, you know, and that's why people, you know, don't cry right off and hold their tears and stuff back because they don't want that, you know. Well, I don't.
You don't want to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I do, but I don't want you to want me because I'm vulnerable. You know, like want me because
Yeah.
you want me, and then let the vulnerability come out. You know,
Yeah.
let it come out. Then it's the time and the place. Once we get secure in a good relationship, showing me that you want me, then I'll let my masculinity down. You know, then I'll be vulnerable. Like, but I'm not gonna
You
wait
want
for
that.
you.
You want the action first.
Yes.
Yeah. You want action first.
It's just
Well,
like us walking down the aisle and you're gonna decide whether you see I'm short as hell, and you're gonna sit there and decide whether you're gonna get this off the top shelf or I'm gonna go get a worker, you know? I'm not waiting.
She's saying, I'm gonna find a way to do that which you cannot do, or that which you're choosing to not do in that moment. So in the moment, if you see I'm 4'2" and you're 5'9" and you could reach the top shelf and you choose to not do that thing, that says a whole lot for me. So I'm gonna figure a way to do it. Now, in the interim, will I hurt myself? Probably so, because I'm gonna find a way to do that which you, sir, should be doing for me.
Right. You trying to wait to see if I could do it or something, and it's cute. No, we ain't trying to be cute. Go, come on, let's go.
But I guess for me, it's the thing of you giving the man the opportunity. Cause I mean, for me, I wouldn't give anybody opportunity. Albert just, I don't know what. Look, it was action. I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna say I don't know. It was his actions. He wasn't just talking.
Yeah.
It was the action. So I was
Absolutely.
able to start putting my masculinity down. But it was very hard. You know, I was calling Serena and Gail boo crying.
I don't know.
I don't know because of the fear. You know, am I going to get hurt again? Is this going to happen to me again? You know, and so, and still bringing that masculinity down. That's like I told you when we was in Jersey, and he was like, "I'm gonna make your plate." He was like, "What do you want?" And I told him, and then as I'm walking away, I hear him say, "Now go sit down." Everything in me, my masculine side was like, "Girl,
Excuse me?
did you just hear what he said?" But then my feminine side said, "Girl, go have a seat and
Okay.
enjoy this moment and be in the present. Be in the present." Because I couldn't even walk anymore. Like my feet was swollen. I had really overdid it. And to, you know, have someone just care. Now, all those people in the house, I kept saying to him, "Honey, you see no one's doing nothing." I asked people to put the food away. No one moved. So it was a sense of when he got there, he was saving me because him and Ingrid, I couldn't do anymore. Like literally, and nobody was moving. So it's the point of being able, I don't want to do it so much where I worked so hard that my body was like shutting down, but being able to bring that masculinity down with that action.
Yeah.
So Quilla, when seeing the action, even when you see that man move in that action, how hard, it's hard to bring it down. I'm gonna let you know in advance. It's still
It
gonna
is.
be
So
hard.
yeah,
It's hard.
to let a
But
man
trust
be,
in
to do what
Now,
we've been
now,
doing for so long. Go ahead.
oh. Now, what Tara just said, see, this is kind of like where the problem, so to speak, not a problem, but you know, the
it's
clash. This is the clash right here. So this masculinity thing, right? You know, she's trying to put it on the shelf, right? In those moments, whatever. Now, at the same time, we're having conversations about this guy that people that know me in my circle know me by. I ain't talking about the name. I'm talking about the person behind the name. So now when this masculinity comes out, right? I find myself having to suppress this guy that other people know me as. And it's real. You know, like I've never been a good storyteller or none of that, but I lived a crazy life and I survived. And so now when I feel that masculine part, which I call aggression, you know, there's an undertone of aggression that comes with it. My antennas go up. And then it doesn't start off as, oh, hold on, what should I do? No, instinctively, I know what that means. When I hear the undertone, it means one thing. Then I'll be like, oh, that's just Tara. You know, she ain't gonna hurt nobody. You know what I mean? But it just raises your antennas. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a person that, you know, was a little on a, whatever
On the hood,
side.
just keep it real. 100. We use hood. You was the hood dude,
Oh. I consider myself an intellectual hood.
and we don't have a problem with that.
Okay. But no, you're right though. You know what I mean? This guy that was from the hood, you know what I'm saying, and was involved this, that, and the third or whatever. But when I'm encountered with it and I'm looking like, you know, like what's that all about? You know what I'm saying? Like what's happening?
Because I
You
be
know what I'm saying?
bucking. I be bucking.
Yeah, you be bucking.
I be
You know what I'm
bucking.
saying?
We be going,
But
he
there's
be like,
hold up.
whoa.
But Serena, there's also another part that comes with it with her. Tara will use that sometimes when she's trying to sway me.
Uh-oh.
Really?
And I pick up on it.
I've never heard this. So I'm in the class with
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah, you weren't supposed to have heard this. You know what I mean? But I get it though. You know what I mean? And I let it go.
So she'll use the masculine energy to sway you to do something?
To do me to do something, um, while still maintaining her femininity. You understand that?
Yeah.
So it's
Quilla
like,
got to Quilla cracking up.
yeah, because she probably knows. So I'm thinking how I'm trying to find an analogy of that. Like, no, I don't see that. Like, I don't understand like how we can use one to sway you, but still operate in the feminine side of us. So explain. Uh-oh, he's frozen. Is everybody frozen? Oh, why is everybody frozen? What's going on? Oh, what just happened? Jesus.